Join us today as we talk about some tips for navigating GenCon 2024. This is the Geek Cabal channel. My name is Bobby.
I'm Owen.
And today we're going to be talking about the upcoming GenCon 2024. As we record this, it is approximately 2 weeks away. This is the 17th of July. It'll be I believe the 1st of August. Or 2nd, it's right around in there. It's the first weekend of August. First of all, I should say, check out our older videos, because we're unfortunately going to be shooting from the hip a little bit here because of our timing. We plan on trying to get this done earlier and more organized, and well, unfortunately, life happens. So, yeah. So we're going to try to hit all the high notes here. And like I said, we have other videos from past years. I'll link to them in the description, and check those out. Now, some of those are going to be more year specific because, like in 2022, we had to worry about masks and vaccines and things like that, and that is no longer the case. So some information will be very specific. We'll have some very specific for this year as well. So I guess the best way to break this down is we'll do some advice, or just general advice, and then probably something more specific if you're a newer person or this is your first year. So we'll do the general advice first, then we'll do the other. Okay, so general advice. I mean, if you've been, you probably know some of the things I'm about to say. Maybe not, I don't know. General advice. So unfortunately, this video is way late because the first bit of advice I would have told you was you should buy your badge now and you should have it shipped to you. However, by the time this video goes up, the badges might actually be sold out. So if you don't know, if you see this video, have not decided if you're going yet, think you are, and badges are still available, I strongly suggest you buy it, because GenCon has already sent an email out saying they believe that it's going to sell out this year before the show, which has only happened 2 other times. So keep that in mind. And on that note, I believe this is the 55th anniversary. Now, that's not one of the landmark anniversaries like the 50th anniversary, but it's 55. It's an alliterative number, if that's even a thing with numbers. I don't think it's only with letters, but anyway, you know what I'm saying. So there might be some GenCon 55 kind of merchandise floating around. Keep an eye out for that if you want to buy it, because if you're the 50th anniversary, which again is a much bigger deal, is anything to go by. If you want to try to buy it later, it's going to cost you, because stuff for the 50th anniversary goes for a pretty penny. So anyway, you have that. Okay, general advice. You're going to be in Indiana in August, which you're going to feel like, if you're not from here or say from the South, you're probably going to feel like you need scuba gear to walk around outside. It's going to be humid. It's going to be hot. Typically. Every once in a great while it's not, but usually it is. It's probably going to rain at least one day. I would warn you about the wind in the corridor downtown where the food trucks are, but they moved them last year, so that's no longer the case. There's going to be construction right next to the convention center, because there's an area called the Pan Am Plaza that right now I believe is a 3-crater deep hole in the ground. Sorry, 3-story deep hole in the ground. Because they tore it out and they're building a new hotel there that's going to connect to the convention center. And so it's going to be more rooms downtown that are connected, more convention space, because they're going to have all the rooms in the lower part, like conference rooms and ballrooms, things like that. And then in a few years, they're going to build another hotel right next to it, is apparently the plan. So if you've been before but you didn't go last year, the food trucks are not going to be on Georgia Street, because Georgia Street is probably also covered in rubble. They are going to be between the Convention Center and Lucas Oil Stadium. So you'll exit the end of the Convention Center where normally you would go underground to get to Lucas Oil. There's a door there to take you outside. That's where the food trucks are. Hopefully they add more seating. Last year they had plenty of music, which helped to kind of overcome the fact that there's a train, elevated train, that makes a whole lot of noise right next to it. On that front, I don't know, you can look at Sun King's Brewery to see what their drink is this year. I think it's cinnamon toast crunch or cinnamon cereal or something. It sounded quite disgusting to me, but we'll see. I don't remember what Hotbox's pizza is going to be this year. I did try the pizza last year. I usually don't try their specialty pizzas because they all sound terrible. But last year actually wasn't bad. Queen's Gambit. You had to have some cheesy name like that. But yeah, the food trucks will all be there, and there's plenty of shaded seating next to Lucas Oil. But again, I wish there was more tables and stuff set up. So I don't expect much change there. In fact, if it's not posted already, the schedule for the food truck should be up in the next week or two. Well, in 2 weeks, hopefully, it'll be a convention. And yeah, so that's most like the food truck news. I wouldn't count on anything at the mall food court. The last time I went there, it was like a ghost town. I expected to see tumbleweeds blowing through. I expect that pretty well everything is closed by this point. Maybe the Chinese place is still open. Maybe the Italian place. That's probably it. The Chick-fil-A closed, for those of you who are fans of the Chick-fil-A. I think it was closed last year already. It has moved to another location downtown. Don't know where it is, but it's close by. And yeah, I think the mall itself is going to be dead very soon too. So, but there's supposedly plans to remodel that as something else. We'll see. So anyway, back on our main track here. Inside the convention center, there are a number of places to get food and drinks. None of them take cash. They're all cards, so keep that in mind. That someone was this last year who didn't anticipate that and brought mainly cash, so that was a problem. Also, the prices are thoroughly ridiculous. You're almost better off if it's still open to like go over to the mall, to the convenience store in the mall, and get something there if you're looking for just a drink. However, if you get, say, something like a Gatorade or Power, just something in a plastic bottle like this, or if you have a reusable one, there are fountains to refill them with water all over the place. So as long as you're content with water, bring a bottle and just keep refilling it. And there's plenty of restrooms as well. I will give my yearly advice of anticipate on somewhere in late day 2, early day 3, some of the bathrooms will essentially become no-go zones because people are not clean.
Bad aim.
And the staff, I don't know if it's just because it's the weekend or like if they're just like, no, this isn't my problem or what, but I have a couple that I know people don't know about and don't go to in numbers, and that's where I go. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to tell you where they are because, well, I'd like to keep using them. Sorry. However, if you see me at the convention and come up and ask me in person, I'll tell you where they are. I'll do that much. So, yeah, as far as that, like the food truck situation, my advice is don't go at noon. Like, go an hour or two before or after. Because if you go in the off hours, there are no lines. Like Island Noodles has these excellent noodles, but usually back when it was on Georgia Street, the line went to the end of the street. But if you go in the off hours, like last year, I went during one of the off hours, I was able to walk straight up and order the noodles. There was no line. So keep that in mind. While the convention, technically, you're not allowed to bring outside food and drink. It has never stopped me from bringing outside food and drink. I bring a bottle. They don't know that I didn't buy it someplace else in the convention center. I bring, snacks. I don't bring like a cooler full of sandwiches. I have seen them actually ask a lady to leave before, where she like whipped a cooler out from her carriage and had like sandwiches and stuff. But the most they can do is ask you to leave. I don't think they ask you to leave the convention center. I think just the Gen Con spaces. I could be wrong on that. I'm not a lawyer. They might ask you to go outside. But if they do, just walk outside and you can come back inside. Probably use a different entrance. On the carriage note, watch out for people that have stupidly huge strollers and carriages and wagons and battering rams and all the other stupid things they could have. The newest thing that I saw last year are these baby strollers that are almost like if I were standing up, I'm like a little over 6 feet tall. They come up like to here on me. So about 5 feet up. And there's probably room for approximately 4 kids or at least one adult hiding in there, or a lot of bricks to turn it into a battering ram. And it has like a domed top. I mean, like, I guess it's great for keeping your kids in there. It's basically a playpen on wheels given its size. It's terrible for, literally everybody else. So I kind of really like to be one of those people who says, don't do that, don't bring that. But I guess you're probably going to anyway. My pleas are going to fall on deaf ears. Just the rest of you out there, watch out. Don't get run over. If you're a shorter person, like, you're just going to get plowed right into. They're not even going to see you. So, I'm sorry.
I guess it's just the general thing is that there's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be a tight squeeze.
Yeah. With them selling out, like, for any of you that was there, if last year was your first year, you're in for a surprise. Last year was tight. Last year they did sell out of Saturday badges eventually on like Friday, I think. So you didn't get to see all 4 days totally crowded beyond belief. That's what you're going to see this year in all likelihood. So don't push people. Don't be a jackass. I just about floored somebody last year because it was like me and some old woman, and this guy was literally trying to shove between us. And I just like got shoulder to shoulder with the old lady and gave him a look that made it very clear that his scrawny 5 foot nothing ass was not getting past me. And so he was going to knock over the old lady if that's really what he's going to do. At which point, well, I'd probably been kicked out of the convention because I would have definitely knocked him over. But not that I condone violence, but if you're going to do that to someone else like that, watch out. You're going to suffer a tripping accident. But yeah, so don't be that guy. Especially given current levels of incivility in our country, like, someone else will readily be that other guy. Just like, you will probably be in the how do I say this? Mess around and find out, I guess. I don't know. I think that's throttling us in our curse on here, so I'm trying to dial it back. But yeah, so nothing in there is worth knocking people over. I've seen people in wheelchairs being like shoved around. I've seen all kinds of other stupid things. And I've been on there, like I said, I've been on the receiving end. However, I'm bigger than most of the people there, so they just basically run into a brick wall when they try it. But I've gotten the frustration because my friend and I have been there my friend Chris and I have been there, I think, every year since it's been in Indianapolis. And we have gone, we've made it intentionally, we're going to get to a certain booth. So we go to the door that leads to that booth. We're there beforehand, before it opens up. And we'll get some guy preaching about, oh, don't run, don't push, we see everything. The door's open, and we can see people running who've been let in from another door. And it just all falls on deaf ears at that point. So that's Gen Con being stupid with their enforcement, though. Don't contribute to it. Nothing there's worth running people over. So, yeah, so if there's any kind of promos or anything that you're after, you need to prioritize that, like Thursday morning. Because if it's valuable, people are going to get it to sell it. Like last year, I got a hold of one of the Lorcana promo cards. Took me about 10 minutes worth of work, made $150 on it. It's the way it rolls. I should have gone back and got more. That's my only regret with that. But yeah, so there are going to be people that, they either want it or they want it to sell it. And if they want it more than you do, like, they're going to scheme and find some other way and slither and get through. And, you're going to be like me. You're going to try all these things above board. And it doesn't matter which direction you choose, you will be behind the person who's like, I need to be first in line so I can walk at 3 feet per minute and sightsee and slow down whoever's behind me. And I get it. I've wanted to throttle those people before. But you can't do that. We live in a civil society. They paid to be there. They did not pay to come and enter the Thunderdome. So, you just gotta let it go. I know it's hard. It is. But you just gotta don't give in. Don't give in to the dark side, even if they do have cookies, from what I hear. I've never seen these cookies though, so I can't verify that. I think it's all a lie. They're liars. They're the dark side. But anyway, yeah. So don't do that. Don't be an asshole. Like, just in general, don't be an asshole. But especially like whenever there's 75,000 people around you, all probably want the same thing. Most of the companies have figured out how to like alleviate these problems. Usually they'll give you like a raffle ticket or something else and come back later when it's not the initial crush at 10 a.m. So yeah, you don't have to run to be there. And don't harass the people at the booths either. Like, they're just doing their jobs. Most of them are volunteers. They might not have all the answers you're after. If it's a volunteer, they don't know everything about every game that's there. They were probably trained in one day how to run the one game they're there for. So, if they don't know the answer, ask them to find someone that does. And if they're being rude, just walk away. It's not worth whatever you're contemplating doing. So that's most of that information. As a practical matter, if you intend on buying a new pair of shoes before Gen Con, you should do so like now. Because you want them broken in before the convention. Otherwise, it's going to kill your feet, because you're going to be on your feet for 8 hours or more. Also, make sure you get clothes and everything. I mean, you're going to need those. You're going to be in public. Like, I know I don't actually have to say what I'm going to say, because either that or I'm insanely lucky. I have only ran into a handful of people that this applies to. But keep in mind, you're in public. Practice good hygiene. Brush your hair, brush your teeth, use some breath mints. Wash up.
Please
take a shower.
Use deodorant.
Use deodorant. Like I said, people always stress that in noise videos. Seriously, in 20 years of going to Gen Con, I could probably count on one hand the number of people I've been around that have been like, man, this is the guy they made all these videos for. Generally speaking, everyone does that. But this is a reminder, keep it up, okay? And if you're the one person that actually needs to hear this, you're not the Wicked Witch of the West, you're not going to melt. Like, wash yourself off. You're going to be around a bunch of other people. Use antibacterial soap so that when you inevitably do sweat, because you're going to, it's not going to stink. And, just keep clean, bring fresh clothes, obviously. If not, buy some shirts there and wear them. Plenty of people sell them at an insane rate. Either that or I'm just out of the loop, because I think $28 for a t-shirt is kind of expensive, but that's just me. It doesn't stop me from buying them like a fool, but I do. So yeah, and then stay hydrated. It is hot. Now, it's not as hot inside the building. Most of the rooms in the building are actually fairly cool. It'll be a little hot in the dealer's hall because of all the people, but they keep it cold in there for that reason. So, but you are going to be, without noticing it, you're going to be perspiring. So stay hydrated. Eat. Don't eat just nothing but junk food. I mean, I suppose if you're like 18 or in your early 20s, you can get by, but if you're any older than that, like, your body can't handle it, don't try it. You have to eat at least one real meal a day, preferably 2 or 3. If you're staying in a hotel, take advantage of the free continental breakfast if they have one. Even if it's just a bowl of cereal, it's something.
Hopefully, you have a hotel selected by now.
Yeah, I probably should have opened with that. If you don't have a hotel at this point, you might have a problem. Um, it is 2 weeks from the show. Like, troll the forums, specifically the actual Gen Con forum on the Gen Con website and the Fans of Gen Con Facebook page. Uh, those are good resources. The Fans of Gen Con Facebook page can answer just about any question you're going to have. And folks from Gen Con and a handful of folks that work for the city post there occasionally. But yes, if you don't have a hotel at this point, you could be in trouble. Yeah, there were some issues early on. If you look at some of our other videos with hotels, so that could be a concern. So definitely get on that ASAP if you don't have a hotel. You might be like staying in Bloomington, which is less than ideal. Or you might be trying to find a campground closer to the city, or someplace you can just park your car and hope you don't get carjacked. Uh, I don't think that's rampant in Indianapolis, but I don't live up there, so you know. I'll talk to my friend that does live up there. I don't think it is though. I still wouldn't risk it. Yeah, I think Gate 10 parking is probably long since sold out. On parking, get there early is my main advice. The parking garages, you're probably looking at $30 or $40 for a day of parking at this point. They keep raising the rates, especially since event parking. There are cheaper places if you're willing to walk just a little bit. And I think this year we're going to be giving a new place a chance. I don't know. We kind of talked about it last year. We'll see. But yeah, so parking, the main thing is get there early. Now, Thursday and Friday, you'll be contending with people that actually work downtown also parking there. Saturday, a lot less, but Saturday is also the most heavily traveled day of the convention. So, kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another, as they say. Yeah, be ready to walk outside if you park very far away. Otherwise, a lot of buildings downtown are you can get to them through the hamster tubes above the streets. In a few places, you can go underground where the buildings connect, but that's largely not important for Gen Con. If you're going to take the secret entrance into the State House, though, you can do that underground. Uh, Last time I went in there, the first line of defense once you got inside the State House was a blind man running a concession stand. So, you know.
That's what they want you to think.
Yeah, I mean, he knew what change he was getting, so maybe he wasn't blind. But anyway, that was like 30 years ago, though. So
What?
probably changed. I'll tell you about it after the recording.
That was random.
Well, that's how you used to have to go in. You'd park in one of the hotels there downtown, and then you take the underground entrance into the building.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the underground stuff's still there. You know, it's just that people don't use it much anymore. They actually remodeled it not too long ago. I think they've added more security that's difficult to see, but you know, if you know what you're looking for, you can see it. But yeah, that's most of my. Okay, there's a few other things I suppose here real quick. You definitely want to like. I would also, if this were an earlier video, I'd be like, hey, make sure you get all the events you want to sign up for. But that ship was probably also sailed. There's probably plenty of events still left. Just don't know if they're going to be the events you in particular want. So definitely look through them if you haven't yet. You might want to grab some generic tickets because if there's an event you do want to go to but is sold out, you can go, and if they either somehow have an extra seat or if someone has not shown up after a certain point, a lot of them will take generics equivalent to whatever the cost was going to be. So all the costs are in increments of $2 because the generic tickets are $2. So it's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8, something like that. And so bring enough generics to cover it, and they might let you sit in. And if you end up on Sunday, if you still have generics left, take them to the ticket booth and get system credit. They won't give you your money back, but they'll give you credit that you can spend. That'll go towards your badge next year, probably. And I've done that before, so yes, it does work. Yes, it does keep track of your system credit for a year. Let's see. Look around to see who all is going to be there. If there's any company in particular you want to go for, the map of the dealer hall is already out. You can go to your any company's website. They'll probably, I would hopefully they'd be talking about being a Gen Con at this point. There are some companies that still need volunteers to run things. So if you're thinking about going, haven't got your badge yet somehow, and still need one, and they're still open, like I think it's AAW Games. They run role playing games. They've released a few. I think Rise of the Drow they released, and some other things. And actually, the gentleman that I mentioned in our last podcast, uh, Luke Dayton, he is going to be working for them, actually. I mentioned his channel, and I'll try to remember to link it at the bottom of this video, too. I believe he's going to be working for them from what he told me the other day. So, yeah. And I've got another friend who we interviewed before here on the channel way back in the early days, Julius. He is going to be working for Steve Jackman Games, I believe, this year. If we get the chance, we'll talk to him there at the convention, probably. And then I haven't been able to talk to Jeremiah. Used to play HeroClix with, but he's been working for WizKids for several years, so I expect he'll probably be there working for WizKids again. Yeah, so it seems to work out for everybody. They all seem to enjoy doing it, so it's a thing you might want to look into. Again, that's AAW Games for sure, still looking for people, but others might be as well. I get emails from them because I bought some of their products. That's how I know. But yeah, then other than that, you might want to check the forums to see if any companies are handing out promos you might want, because it's going to be better for you to get them for free or a very low price at Gen Con versus whatever is going to be on the secondary market later on. But yeah, and talk to people as you're there. You'll find out about other things. There's all kinds of events that aren't advertised that take place later. Yeah, so socialize. I know it's hard. I don't do it much, but anyway, that is probably most of my advice. My general advice. Owen, do you have any general stuff that I might have missed?
Don't forget to breathe.
Yes, if Chad were here, like last year, he would have interrupted me before I even started and said, "Don't forget to bring a hat." Which I guess in that vein, don't forget to bring your sunblock either. Because yeah, if you're outside and it's sunny, you could get sunburned. I don't know. I have fair skin. Like, I don't know if you can tell, I have red hair, which means I have very pale skin and burn easily. I've never sunburned at Gen Con, but then again, Chad's bald, so he has a different concern than I do. The only time I ever sunburned on my head was when I was in Colorado, which I was up in the mountains at like 30,000 feet. So, no, not 30,000 feet. I went up that high. What the hell am I talking about? It's about 11,000 feet. And yes, because of being that high up and the atmosphere is significantly thinner, as it was explained to me, about 15 minutes in the sun there is about the same as about 2 hours in the sun on the beach in Miami. So there I managed to burn my top of my head because my hair is thinning out a little bit up here. And that was unpleasant. So yes, if you are such that you're concerned about that, bring a hat. But make sure it's one you can take off when you come inside. Especially if it's like some giant sombrero or something. Which I have actually seen someone wearing a sombrero there once. It was a long time ago, but I have seen it once. Yeah. Any other general tips you got, Owen?
Well, most other times in life, if you're like, I'm not sure, I'll come back later, that's not, I don't know if that will necessarily apply at Gen Con, the I can come back later mentality.
That is something that I've never really thought about mentioning on here. That's a good one, Owen. Like if you're in the dealer's hall, I'm like, well, let me look around, I'll come back. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. If you're taking a look around and be like, I'm not sure, I'll come back later. From personal experience, whenever I come back later, whatever was there wasn't.
I was gonna say my big problem is the coming back later part. So yeah, that's something to consider there. That's a good one, Owen. Yeah, the dealer's hall is quite expansive, and especially if you're only there for one day, you either might not come back, and you'll be driving back home and be like, "Oh, damn it, I forgot to go back," or as Owen says, whatever you're after will be gone because, well, everything there is limited quantities because no one's warehouse is like in Indianapolis for any of these companies, except for maybe one of the dice companies because I think they're actually headquartered in Indianapolis or Lafayette. Uh, but yeah, so what I have started doing to try to alleviate that is I've started taking notes in my phone because I go all 4 days, and so like at the end of like Thursday, I'll double check like, oh right, I need to go back to this booth and this booth. And whenever you're in the dealer's hall, this applies to every place else, but I'm just saying the dealer's hall. The booths all have numbers because all the aisles are numbered. So I try to get the number and the name of the and then I hope that somehow, because this has happened a few times, that I come back and the booth is gone. Like that's happened to me before. I come back and like it's just an empty spot. The booth is no longer there. Or every once in a while, there's a different booth, and that's not going to happen with like Catalyst or Paizo or Dwarven Forge or any of the Chessex dice things. They're the if they could, they would just build a permanent thing there in the dealer in that hall. But some other smaller ones, like things happen. Like last year, I imagine the booth that belonged to the two gentlemen who stole all the cards probably disappeared.
Wait, they had a booth?
Well, I'm pretty sure they did. They were there promoting a game. So
why?
I don't know. They were stupid enough to apparently wear shirts that had the game they were promoting on. That's how they figured out who they were. So yeah. I guess that's my other tip. Don't try to steal a pallet full of Magic the Gathering cards out of the bag. You will get caught.
Or just don't try to steal in general.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should say don't try to commit crimes while you're there. Like that's some sound advice too, Owen. That is a good one. I should have mentioned that. Since I was giving people advice like make sure to eat, I guess I do need to cover that base too. Yeah, don't do crimes. That's bad. It's illegal. And like your parents will be very disappointed in you, probably. Unless you had a very poor upbringing, then they might be like, "Oh, well, at least you gave it a go." But I don't want to speculate on that any more than I already have. So,
anything else?
Yeah, that's like all the general advice. Also, I guess the one other thing is double check what the driving conditions are going to be because downtown is constantly under construction, but I'm pretty sure this year part of the 465 loop is also under, or 70, I don't remember which one is under construction also. So definitely factor that into your drive times and everything. You don't want to be in for a nasty surprise there. I think it's mainly if you're coming from the southern part of Indianapolis. If you're coming from the north side, I think the interchange where 69 meets 465, I think is under construction. Because they're rearranging how that all works because they realized, hey, we get more traffic from Fort Wayne than we thought we were. Who knew? Highway it's supposed to connect Canada and Mexico has a lot of traffic on it. Apparently that was news to them. So anyway, if this is your first time or you've only been once or twice, my main advice is don't fill up your schedule, which again you probably already have if you're going to at this point. Look around. Just like set time aside to just walk around, take it all in. If you've got the fortitude to stay there during the night, check out what happens after the dealer's hall closed. There's plenty of other stuff still going. The convention center is open 24 hours once GenCon starts going. From 10 a.m. Thursday until 4 p.m. Sunday, the convention center is open. Things are happening. Now, after a certain hour, not a lot of things are happening, but they are. A whole lot of Werewolf gets played there at night. People do comedy skits, music skits. There's a film festival.
I mean, can't really play Werewolf during the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really thematically appropriate during the day. It's got to be at least at night, so the moon comes out, I guess. That's a good point, Owen. But yeah. So yeah, just look around. If you're at all interested in looking around Indianapolis, there's a very nice museum nearby called the Idol Yorg. It has a whole bunch of Western themed art, Western themed as well as art made by people who live out west, both native art as well as later peoples and foreign art that has to deal with the West. And it's a nice museum. I actually went to it over the summer with Sarah, or not over the summer. It was a couple months ago, so it was in the spring, I think. And next to that is the Indiana State Museum, which I haven't been to that as a museum, but they do have a real IMAX theater there. And by that I mean it's one of the ones that's the screen is 80 feet tall. So I saw row one on that. It looks spectacular.
If you do go to an IMAX theater, don't sit front row.
Yeah, no, especially not that one. Like you're just gonna pick a spot on the screen and tell whoever's next to you to pick another spot and tell you what's going on. But yeah, there's that to check out. There's plenty of places to eat downtown. My friends and I go to Fogo de Chão, which is a Brazilian steakhouse. That's all you can eat steak. I think there's supposed to be a concert or two while Gen Con is occurring. I think the baseball team has a game or two. Nothing's going on at Lucas Oil because they have stuff for Gen Con at Lucas Oil. I couldn't say about the basketball stadium. The Indiana State Fair will be going on, which that's worth checking out if you like other stuff, especially if you're going to be there like Wednesday or Monday. You don't want to burn a Gen Con day to go. That's at the State Fairgrounds. The best pork chop I ever ate in my life I had there is a deep fried pork chop. Not breaded, but just deep fried. Damn, that thing was juicy and delicious. It was only like $5, like this thick. Fantastic.
So, there'll be a lot of stuff to do around there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do.
Rest of Indiana, not so much.
Yeah, not as a citizen of the state, like the rest of the state's like cornfields. It's not very attractive. We do have drive-in theaters though. That's something. There's actually one around Indianapolis too, the Tibbs. I've never been to it, but you know, there's plenty of other things to do around Indianapolis. There's a Bob Ross museum somewhere that I've never been to. The Children's Museum is top notch. The zoo is good, from what I understand. It's been a while since I've been there. Last time I was there, a gentleman got himself unalived outside via gunfire, and then yeah, we heard that while we were in the zoo, and then all the after effects when we got out of the zoo. That was exciting. But I hear that probably that doesn't happen a whole lot at the zoo. That was just a one-off. And
be a little concerned if it wasn't.
I believe the Kurt Vonnegut Museum is in Indianapolis too. A lot of his writings and his library is there. I've not been to that either though, so I can't confirm that. There's a Lego store up on the north side if you like Lego stuff. That would be at the, I believe, Castleton Square Mall. And yeah, that's. I'm sure there's all kinds of other things I'm totally ignoring here. I mean, like I could go down there, like on the more adult front downtown. There's also the Red Garter, the oldest restaurant or bar in Indiana is up there. I think it's the Slippery Noodle. Never eaten there, but I hear it's good. Yeah, so that's all I got on that. Mainly, if this is your first time, like, don't try to do too much. Take it all in. Then it'll give you a better idea how to plan for next time. Because it's very hard, like in the abstract, tell people these things and then be like, "Oh yeah, it works just like this," and then they get there and like, "No, it doesn't." So, Owen, any advice for newbies, noobs, as you will?
Not much. Just don't forget to actually enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I should have mentioned this under general advice. Make sure you get enough sleep. Like, you can coast through Thursday, maybe Friday on fumes, but if you do that, you're going to crash hard on Saturday or Sunday. So, especially if you're just like living on energy drinks and coffee. Yeah, that's about all I got.
I'd say the same here.
All right. Well, folks, hopefully all of this will help you in some way. Like I said, a link to the other videos down in the description, because I'm sure there's things that we missed here. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Hopefully we'll see you at the show. But like, share, subscribe. It's YouTube. Sorry, I've got to pimp the channel here somehow. But otherwise, if you see us there, you're free to say hi. One of our fans actually did meet up with us last year. We're going to again this year. We're going to go play the BattleTech tournament this year, actually. So, yeah, looking forward to that. So, if I get the chance, I maybe try to get Chad in. We're going to try to do a video about like stuff that we're going to try to do this year, but I don't know if the timing's going to work out for that. So if it does, look out for that. Otherwise, look out for our videos post GenCon. We're trying to do stuff during GenCon, but editing takes time and I need to sleep. So, you know. Anyway, thank you folks for watching, and we will see you later.
See ya.